In 2024, Los Angeles found itself grappling with a startling 28% surge in homelessness, as the number of unhoused individuals swelled to a jaw-dropping 119,141. This represents a staggering 55% increase since 2013 and an alarming 41% jump in just 4 years. The city has reached a critical tipping point, where the homeless crisis is no longer just a statistic, it's a visible and painful reality for its residents. The 2023 point-in-time count from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development revealed that Los Angeles now tops the nation with the highest percentage of unsheltered homeless individuals. A staggering 59.9% of the homeless population lacks access to basic shelter, up 27% from 2020. This grim rise underscores the severity of the issue and the growing urgency to address it. Los Angeles County has been hit especially hard. On any given night in 2023, it's estimated that 189,115 people are experiencing homelessness, nearly half of whom are unsheltered. That's about 93,685 individuals surviving on the streets, in their cars, or in precarious conditions. According to the World Population Review, by 2024, Los Angeles had roughly 29,781 chronically homeless people, making up 24.9% of the city's homeless population. Compare this to 2018, when there were 8,158 chronically homeless individuals, just 16% of the homeless population. The numbers paint a troubling picture of a city where homelessness is not only growing but becoming a long-term reality for far too many. Adding to this burden is the crisis of child homelessness. Nearly 21,000 children experience homelessness annually in Los Angeles, according to the city's Office of Homeless Youth, a figure that casts a heartbreaking shadow over the future of these vulnerable kids. Complicating the housing crisis is Los Angeles' high rate of refugee resettlement. As of 2023, the county's undocumented immigrant population was estimated at 839,700, a dramatic increase from just 16,000 in 1990 and 210,000 by 2005, according to Pew Research Center. Asylum seekers, often stuck in legal limbo with limited access to work and benefits, are especially vulnerable to homelessness. At the same time, Los Angeles continues to face challenges as one of the state's most crime-affected areas. Los Angeles stands at a crossroads, where the convergence of a growing homeless crisis, rising crime, immigration challenges, skyrocketing living costs, and rampant gang violence have brewed a perfect storm. This mix of pressures is unraveling the social fabric of the city, leaving it grappling with one of the most complex urban crises in recent memory. Crime rates. When isolating Los Angeles crime data from the rest of California, a striking pattern emerges. The city stands out as one of the state's most crime-ridden areas. According to Neighborhood Scout, over 96% of communities in California have lower crime rates than Los Angeles, emphasizing that the city's crime challenges are uniquely its own. Data from the Los Angeles Police Department's crime dashboard reveals a 10% spike in crime in 2023 compared to the previous year, culminating in 92,300 reported incidents. This equates to a staggering crime rate of 24.15 incidents per 1,000 residents, placing Los Angeles among the most dangerous cities in the United States. Diving deeper into the statistics, both violent and property crimes surged in 2023. Violent crimes hit a 15-year peak. There are approximately 975.8 crimes per 100,000 residents in Los Angeles, while property crimes climbed to 1,439.5 per 100,000 residents. These numbers paint a troubling picture, but there's more than meets the eye. Neighborhood Scout's analysis adds a layer of perspective. They estimate that residents face a 1 in 40 chance of falling victim to either violent or property crime, a rate far higher than the national average. This makes Los Angeles not just another major metropolis with crime issues, but a city where the risk of becoming a crime victim is alarmingly prevalent. Gang violence. Gang violence in Los Angeles is a deeply entrenched issue that has shaped the city's social and cultural landscape for decades. Known as the gang capital of America, Los Angeles is home to an estimated 950 active gangs with a combined membership of over 105,000 individuals. This pervasive presence of gangs has significant implications for public safety, community well-being, and law enforcement efforts. The impact of gang violence extends beyond the immediate victims and perpetrators. It creates an environment of fear and insecurity in affected neighborhoods, disrupting daily life and hindering economic development. Residents in gang-dominated areas often face threats and intimidation, making it difficult for them to report crimes or cooperate with law enforcement. This culture of silence allows gangs to operate with relative impunity, perpetuating the cycle of violence. Gang violence also places a significant burden on law enforcement and public resources. The social and economic costs of gang violence are profound. Communities affected by gang violence often experience lower property values, reduced business investment, and limited access to quality education and healthcare. The presence of gangs can deter new businesses from setting up in these areas, further exacerbating economic disparities. Cost of living. The high cost of living in Los Angeles is a significant challenge for many residents, impacting their quality of life and financial stability. The median home price in Los Angeles is significantly higher than the national average. For instance, the median home price in Los Angeles is approximately $912,500, compared to the national median of around $375,000. This stark difference makes homeownership out of reach for many residents. Renting is also expensive, with the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment around $2,570 per month, nearly $1,200 higher than the national average. Transportation costs further contribute to the high cost of living. Los Angeles is notorious for its traffic congestion, leading to longer commute times and higher fuel consumption. Gas prices in Los Angeles are typically 30% to 40% higher than the national average. Additionally, the city's sprawling layout often necessitates owning a car, adding to transportation expenses. Public transportation, while available, is not as extensive or convenient as in other major cities, making it less viable for many residents. Daily living expenses in Los Angeles are also higher than in many other parts of the country. Groceries, for example, cost about 17% more in Los Angeles compared to the national average. Dining out is similarly expensive, with a typical lunch costing around $22.50 and dinner for two averaging $101. These higher costs extend to other necessities such as healthcare, which is about 7% more expensive than the national average. Utility costs in Los Angeles are another significant expense. California has some of the highest utility rates in the country, including electricity, water, and natural gas. For example, the average monthly utility bill for a single person is around $132, while a family can expect to pay about $195. These costs add up, placing additional financial strain on residents. Taxes also play a role in the high cost of living. California has some of the highest state income tax rates in the United States. For instance, individuals earning over $1 million are taxed at a rate of 13.3%, while the average single filer pays around 8%. Additionally, the combined state and local sales tax rate is among the highest in the country, further increasing the cost of goods and services. The high cost of living in Los Angeles has several implications for residents. Many individuals and families are forced to make difficult financial decisions, such as cutting back on discretionary spending or moving to more affordable areas. The high cost of housing, in particular, has led to a significant number of residents experiencing housing insecurity or homelessness. For example, a study found that a large percentage of Los Angeles tenants spend more than 30% of their income on rent, a threshold commonly used to indicate housing affordability. Rising poverty. Los Angeles, a city synonymous with opportunity and success, is facing a growing crisis: rising poverty. This issue is complex, with deep-rooted causes and far-reaching impacts that affect the city's social and economic fabric. The scope of poverty in Los Angeles is significant. With nearly 10 million residents, a substantial portion lives below the poverty line. Recent estimates indicate that approximately 16.6% of the population is affected, a rate higher than the state average. This highlights the severity of the issue and the urgent need for effective solutions. Several factors contribute to the rising poverty in Los Angeles. Economic inequality is a major driver. The city has one of the highest levels of income inequality in the United States, with a widening gap between the wealthy and the poor. Stagnant wages and the high cost of living exacerbate this divide, making it difficult for many residents to make ends meet. The impacts of poverty in Los Angeles are far-reaching. Homelessness is one of the most visible consequences. The city has one of the highest homeless populations in the country, with many individuals and families unable to afford housing. This not only affects those directly experiencing homelessness but also strains public resources and services. Health disparities are closely linked to poverty. Those living in poverty often lack access to health care, nutritious food, and safe living conditions. This leads to higher rates of chronic illnesses and poorer health outcomes. The financial burden of medical expenses further exacerbates the situation for many families. High poverty areas often experience higher crime rates. Economic desperation can lead to increased criminal activity, creating a cycle of poverty and crime. This affects the safety and well-being of residents and poses challenges for law enforcement and community relations. Water scarcity. Water scarcity in Los Angeles is a pressing issue that has significant implications for the city's future. Despite its reputation for glamour and abundance, Los Angeles faces a persistent challenge in securing a reliable water supply for its residents, businesses, and agricultural needs. Los Angeles is situated in a semi-arid region, characterized by limited natural water resources and a climate prone to drought. The city receives minimal seasonal rainfall, primarily during the winter months, which is insufficient to meet the demands of its growing population and extensive urbanization. As a result, Los Angeles has historically relied heavily on imported water from distant sources, such as the Colorado River and the Sierra Nevada mountains. This dependency on external water supplies makes the city vulnerable to fluctuations in availability and increases the cost and energy required to transport water over long distances. The issue of water scarcity in Los Angeles is exacerbated by several factors. One major factor is the increasing population. As the population grows, so does the demand for water, putting additional strain on already limited resources. Urbanization and industrial activities further contribute to the rising water demand, as more water is needed for residential, commercial, and industrial purposes. The impacts of water scarcity in Los Angeles are far-reaching. One of the most visible consequences is the strain on the city's water infrastructure. Aging pipelines and reservoirs struggle to keep up with the increasing demand, leading to frequent water main breaks and leaks. This not only results in water loss but also disrupts the daily lives of residents and businesses. The harsh future of Los Angeles. The future of Los Angeles is fraught with significant challenges that could shape the city's trajectory in profound ways. As one of the largest and most dynamic cities in the United States, Los Angeles faces a multitude of issues that threaten its sustainability, livability, and economic stability. One of the most pressing concerns is climate change. Los Angeles is already experiencing the impacts of a warming climate, including more frequent and severe heat waves, prolonged droughts, and an increased risk of wildfires. These environmental changes pose serious threats to public health, infrastructure, and the natural environment. The city's reliance on imported water makes it particularly vulnerable to drought conditions, which are expected to become more severe and prolonged in the future. Efforts to mitigate these impacts, such as water conservation measures and investments in renewable energy, are crucial but may not be sufficient to fully address the scale of the problem. Economic inequality is another significant issue that could shape the future of Los Angeles. The city has one of the highest levels of income inequality in the country, with a stark divide between the wealthy and the poor. This economic disparity is reflected in the housing market, where skyrocketing prices have made homeownership unattainable for many residents. The high cost of living, coupled with stagnant wages for many low and middle-income workers, exacerbates the financial strain on households. If these trends continue, Los Angeles could see an increase in homelessness and housing insecurity, further straining social services and public resources. The city's infrastructure is also a cause for concern. Los Angeles is known for its sprawling layout and heavy reliance on automobiles, leading to notorious traffic congestion and air pollution. The aging infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and public transportation systems, requires significant investment to meet the needs of a growing population. Without substantial improvements, the city's transportation network could become increasingly inefficient, hindering economic growth and contributing to environmental degradation. Public health is another area where Los Angeles faces significant challenges. The city has a high prevalence of chronic diseases, such as asthma and cardiovascular conditions, which are exacerbated by poor air quality and limited access to healthcare in underserved communities. Addressing these disparities requires a comprehensive approach that includes expanding healthcare access, improving air quality, and addressing the social determinants of health. Social and racial inequities also pose a threat to the future stability of Los Angeles. The city has a diverse population, but systemic racism and discrimination continue to affect various aspects of life, from employment and housing to education and criminal justice. These inequities contribute to social tensions and undermine efforts to create a more inclusive and equitable society. Addressing these issues requires concerted efforts to dismantle systemic barriers and promote social justice. The future of Los Angeles is uncertain and fraught with challenges, but it also holds the potential for transformation and renewal. By addressing the interconnected issues of climate change, economic inequality, infrastructure, public health, and social justice, Los Angeles can work towards a future that is sustainable, equitable, and prosperous for all its residents.